first, before we kind of go into a few comments, just want to introduce, I think folks know who's with us this afternoon, of course, our County Commissioner Debbie O'Malley and former City Councilor and Council President Ken Sanchez, and also our new soccer coach for our USL team. Tell me your name again.
Troy Lesesne.
Troy Lesesne. So he's here, and I think we announced you yesterday or something, right?
That's
so
right.
You should all have his bio and that kind of thing. And just in time, our representative, we're right here in his district, Javier Martinez.
How are you, Mr. Mayor?
Good. We're just doing intros, so nice. All right, very good. So thank you all for coming out today. We felt it was important, and I felt as mayor of the city, and the folks here with me today as members of our community and leaders in our community at the local level, to really stand up and say that we want our Board of Regents to give our entire community, our city, our county, our Albuquerque area community a chance to actually take time and deal with some of the financial issues in the course of the legislative session and next year. There's a lot of opportunity, we believe, to do things better than just cutting a few programs. And let me share with you a little bit about that. Today we sent a letter to the Board of Regents reflecting this, and folks should have that. This letter basically outlines from a mayor's perspective, and actually from me personally, a couple of issues. You know, number one is a rare kind of combination, being a state senator, having to do the appropriations for UNM. I understand the value of a legislative session, especially a legislative session where there might be some new money available and some creative solutions that our representative will talk about in a minute. But that opportunity is real, and it's only months away. Secondly, as the former state auditor, I'm well aware of the financial challenges at UNM, and in fact have been one of the harshest callers for accountability at the university. But I also know this: there is nothing in any of the work that I did as state auditor that says that we should just cancel a couple of sports and our challenges will go away. And now, as mayor of Albuquerque, we have a deep vested interest in soccer. And I have a lot of sports. I like all the sports. I think we should protect all our sports. But I also know this: our city is investing hundreds of thousands of dollars in a professional soccer team. Our Parks and Rec department is also drastically increasing the number of youth soccer programs for our kids. It is the most accessible and the most popular sport for our kids in Albuquerque today. And key to that spectrum of athletics and out of school and growth opportunities for our kids has to be a college soccer team. I find it impossible to imagine the fact that in the same year that the city of Albuquerque is standing up for soccer, professional soccer in Isotope Stadium, that there will not be soccer across the street at UNM Stadium. That's just not right, and we shouldn't rush into this. So we're asking folks to, at a minimum, regardless, even if the answer is the same, give the legislature a chance to make this right. So with that, let me introduce our City Council President, who is with us, and on behalf of Council, Council President Ken Sanchez.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm truly proud to be standing here today with Mayor Keller and also County Commissioner Debbie O'Malley. This is a very important issue, and a few weeks ago, when the New Mexico Board of Regents decided to cancel the 4 sports, it was devastating and heartbreaking to those student athletes. I mean, they are a major contribution and asset to our city. It's not just on the field, but through their academic studies, and also, most importantly, being involved in their communities. They are mentors to many of our young kids here in Albuquerque, and we must find ways, especially with the soccer program, but all the 4 programs are critically important. The soccer team has been to the national championship. They have also been in 12 NCAA tournaments. They've been in the Final Four twice. So I think they have really proven their wealth and their ability here in this community to make the right decisions and to really contribute. I want to also thank Coach Fishbein for all of his work and his mentoring of these young athletes. I've got a granddaughter that plays Division I college basketball at Fairleigh Dickinson University, and unfortunately she's not a Lady Lobo. But I know that her mom and dad have spent hundreds of dollars sending her to camps, sending her to club leagues. Same with the parents that now have their athletes playing for the University of New Mexico. They have also made a tremendous investment for their children. And when they made the decision to come to the University of New Mexico, they made that decision not knowing that there would not be a soccer program, a beach volleyball program. The skiing team also was national champions, and a skiing team, and it's just unfortunate that we are seeing this happen. And I would plead with the Board of Regents tomorrow to please reconsider their decision and take some time. I was with Representative Antonio Mo Maestas this morning talking about this issue, and he is very optimistic and confident that the New Mexico Legislature, and there will be a new governor, will be dealing with this initiative. But I believe it's our time to rally as a community to start attending football games, basketball games, soccer, and a lot of the other activities that are at the University of New Mexico to increase the revenues. The students should not be penalized for the mistakes that were made by the previous administration. And I want to thank the Athletic Director Nunes for his work. And they had a tough and difficult decision, but I would hope with the outpour of this community and the support of this community that they will go back and reconsider their position and hopefully look at keeping these sports programs here at UNM. Tomorrow, hopefully, we will see a victory after the decision by the New Mexico Board of Regents. Thank you. And with that, I'd like to introduce Commissioner Debbie O'Malley.
Thank you, President Sanchez. The decision by the UNM Regents was such a shock to the community. You know, this is a huge investment by the community. It's an investment in programs, and it's investment in our young people. So I feel I can speak for the commission today. Our chair wasn't able to make it, to say that we stand with other elected officials, the local folks here today, and others to ask that the Regents reconsider their decision. And I'm really pleased to hear that we have our representative here from the New Mexico Legislature to look at funding and what we need to do to put these programs back. So with that, again, this is very, very important to the city of Albuquerque, and it really is. It represents, for us to support our young people here, that's a true investment in our community. Thank you.
Go ahead, Coach.
My name is Troy Lesesne, and I'm the new coach of the USL New Mexico Professional Soccer franchise. This is my second day on the job, and
welcome.
Thank you, thank you. But this is an important issue to me. College soccer has created a lot of opportunities for myself personally. At the professional level, I coached for 9 years at the College of Charleston, so I'm a huge advocate for college soccer and what it can do for young people. I said this yesterday on a radio show. I actually talked to Coach Fishbein earlier this morning, but I don't think professional soccer arrives in New Mexico without the 17 years of what Jeremy Fishbein has done for this community and this soccer program. And it's very important for our structure of what we want to do with the professional team to have a fantastic program like he's created over the last 2 decades to continue. And we want to get fully behind him, and I'm glad to be here today in support of his program. Thank you.
Thank you, Coach. Welcome.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. Javier Martinez, a member of the New Mexico State House and a member of the New Mexico State Tax and Revenue Committee on the House side. And look, this is a difficult decision, no doubt about it. I know UNM and the athletic department in particular has hit a rough patch. But we cannot punish New Mexico's young people because of the mistakes and the mismanagement that's happened in the past. As Mayor Keller said, I, like him, have worked very hard to hold UNM accountable, and I will keep holding UNM and any institution accountable to spend taxpayer dollars the way they're supposed to. Having said that, I also represent people in this district, in this community, and really people across the state for whom soccer and athletics in general have become both a pathway out of poverty, a pathway into jobs, a pathway to alleviate some of the social ills that we deal with day in and day out. I definitely speak for all House Democrats, and I think I speak for most members of the entire House of Representatives when I say to UNM, please come to the table. In a short 5 months, we will be in session. The economy has rebounded. Our general fund should have recovered. In fact, it is recovered by this point. There will be money that we can appropriate to ensure not only that soccer, but all the other sports can survive. I hope that UNM does the right thing tomorrow. I hope this message is heard by them loud and clear. We are not going to let them die in the vine. We're going to work with them over the next 5 months and during the legislative session to make sure that soccer and the other athletic programs that are slated to be cut can be saved. It's the right thing to do. It's the right thing to do by the taxpayers, and it's the right thing to do by the young people of this state. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So let me just close with a couple of final comments. Number one, I have heard that this is a tough decision over and over again. And I understand that, but I'm asking the Board of Regents to actually make the real tough decision, which is to say that they need to take a do-over and actually acknowledge that this community is willing to help UNM deal with this problem, whether it's city, county, or state. That's the tough decision they need to make tomorrow. And the second thing is, if anyone doubts the popularity or the interest level in soccer, go look at some of the footage of watching the World Cup at Civic Plaza. We had thousands of people from all walks of life come together in the burning hot sun to watch soccer on TV at Civic Plaza. And so for me, it is about one Albuquerque. And that means coming together regardless of whether we're a Board of Regent, whether we're a county commissioner, a city councilor, or a state legislator, in saying this is what we need to do for our community. So thank you so much for coming. And if folks are hot, move to the shade. But I think we are going to take questions. So if you want to stay up here, it's up to you. And just say what you want and we'll direct traffic. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Mayor Keller, you keep talking about the finances and the budgetary possibilities from the legislature, but this is just as much about Title IX, like you said. What do you think they can do to address those problems?
I think this is a good example of how, if Title IX is the issue, we should focus on fixing Title IX, not sort of cutting off our foot to save our hand. I feel in some ways this has been a distraction from long-standing Title IX issues. And the legislature is well positioned to at least have that debate in open committee with the public and flesh out the Title IX challenges. And that's exactly the opportunity that we want the Regents to give us tomorrow. And I don't know, Javier, if you want to add to that from a legislative perspective.
Yeah, no, the Mayor Keller is absolutely right. And that's what we're asking. Give us a chance to convene in January and give us a chance to air out all of these issues. And I can tell you, I mean, from the speaker on down, we are committed to fixing this.
Good question. Others?
Well, UNM has a lot of issues. What are you going to say if people come and say that we don't have the budget in our department? Are you going to help us?
You can go first.
When then Auditor Keller was in office, he did something that I thought was very important and instructive to the community. There's this myth of scarcity in New Mexico. There's some myth that there's not enough money, that if we want to fund early childhood, we have to cut Medicaid, or that if we want to expand Medicaid, we have to cut K-12. This is one of those examples. There's plenty of money to go around. And I'm not saying that in terms of let's just spend money. What I'm saying is, if we prioritize our funding, we are able to save not only these sports, but we will be able to be more efficient in our administration of those funds, both in the athletic department for sure, but elsewhere in state government.
And lastly, we've always highlighted the opportunity for, especially in sports, one advantage is that there's a community willing to help. So we've seen other sports in the past reach out, through their different methods of public-private partnership and sponsorships and all this to get it done. And a good example in contrast is the challenges we discovered at the pit with, them raising funds but then not collecting. And, we need to see the same kind of effort to raise funds and then the same kind of financial discipline to collect. That's the kind of thing we can put together with a little help. Other questions?
So what's the timeline look on this?
So I think Representative can speak about the legislature. Tomorrow we need a vote to buy our entire state and our entire city and our county time. And the amount of time you can speak to with the session dates.
So session begins in mid-January. If you look back, I believe it was the 2017 session, we were hitting some very dire budgetary straits. And the legislature came together. The Appropriations Committee and Legislative Finance Committee came together a week before the session started and started working on a solvency package. Obviously, that was a much more complex, deeper issue than this one. we were able to resolve that crisis. This one should be a lot easier, given just the amount of money we're talking about. And so in terms of timing, we're asking UNM to give us 5-6 months until the legislature convenes. And once we're in session, we can have committee hearings out in the public. We can debate things like how much money is needed, the funding sources that are going to be needed. And we can vote on this, come the end of January.
So UNM administrators have said that they have gone to the legislature repeatedly to ask for additional funding. They said that NMSU receives over $500,000 more for their athletic department. How is that going to be addressed? Or they've been asking for this money for years, so what does that mean?
I disagree with that. I have not heard UNM asking for money because I have not seen UNM ask for money or otherwise them telling us that they're going to cut sports. If they come to the appropriations process and they've asked for budget increases, I can tell you every agency in the state does that. And our appropriations process, I believe, is fair and it's transparent. And the appropriators appropriate what they deem is reasonable. But not once has UNM come to us and said, look, we're in this situation. If you don't fund, these X number of dollars, we're going to have to cut these 5-6 sports. That's never happened.
Are you asking specifically for UNM or the Regents to ask for a stay? What exactly are you asking for?
I'm asking for the Regents to hold off on a decision to cut any sport, come to the table, meet with legislative leadership, work on a game plan for the next legislative session, and give us the time of day, give us the appropriators the time of day to fix this.
To what extent has UNM in this process reached out to either the legislature or the city?
So I'll speak on behalf of the legislature. I believe there have been some meetings with leadership post that last vote. I don't believe there were any meetings before that vote took place.
The university has, excuse me, we've, in terms of the specific issue, as Javier mentioned, I think this is really important, what he shared. This specific issue never came up in advance with the city. And in fact, as folks know, I wrote a letter of concern initially in the process and it was never even answered. So when we talk about how to do things, this is a good example, I think, of how not to do things. And I want to add in that involves the urgency. I have never been shown or heard of any reason why this should be urgently decided this month. I don't think there is a reason why it has to be decided this month. I don't think there is any immediate flag or tripwire that we are going to fall on if we wait 5 months.
I believe they say because they wanted to give student athletes a chance to transfer. They can't transfer without losing a year of eligibility if they start the year.
That's true.
They have said that.
Yeah, that's true though if they're cutting the program. If they're not cutting the program, then they have an incremental additional year. And so, that answer is, that comment is based on the decision they already made. Had they not made that decision, that would not be true.
In some cases, some are arguing that...
It was like a high school logic argument.
In some cases, people are now saying that athletes are looking already to transfer, coaches are looking for other jobs. If the process is elongated, couldn't there be more and more loss in that athletic department?
There's no doubt that, in some ways, some damage has already been done, right? And I believe the ski team coach has already left and so forth. But here's the thing, this vote is tomorrow. So we're not talking about a lot. In February for the session is 5 months away. And I would rather actually salvage the core of a program and the belief in it in the future for 5 months than to just sever it right away and not even give us a chance at having a program in the future. Because once they fully wind down, they're very, very difficult to rebuild. But right now, our coach Fishbein is still here, so we still got a chance.
Was your letter the only direct contact you made with them? Your letter back in May to President Stokes?
I have been in communication with them verbally after the vote happened.
Them being the Regents directly? Or
the president, and have just expressed what we expressed here in this letter. And those communications, I think, were actually very productive. And I've been clear, too, to say that even if you believe in what happened, we're asking for something different, which is just a chance to fully flesh it out and see if we can come up with something better with our partners in the legislature. So I think there is a little bit about, I understand that they have their respective authorities and so forth, but I also understand that as mayor, we are investing, as I mentioned, in the professional sport of soccer. So, and this is also from council's perspective and the county's perspective, we have already made an investment in a particular sport. It just happens to be soccer, which happens to be the same sport that they tried to cut. So this is directly affecting city issues, and that's why we've encouraged them to change their opinion.
That's why you feel it's appropriate to weigh in on their decisions as mayor?
Absolutely. So normally, right, of course, academic issues, things like this, you would never find at least us three up here commenting on this. And, you know, it would be really the purview of the legislature and, of course, the university. But as we've demonstrated here today, these particular sports play a bigger role in our community. To be honest, UNM athletics is bigger than UNM in terms of the importance for our kids and for our community. And that's why it's important that at least we take a stand, folks know where we are, and I think we're making a very reasonable request. If they give us time, legislature works up something and we end up in the same place, I think we can all live with that decision and we'll believe it's the right decision. But if they don't give us the chance, I think it's wrong. So it's probably pretty good. We can do more if you want one-on-ones or whatever, but that's probably good for the sun. All right, thank you.